All right, and welcome to Fast Break Breakfast NBA Podcast. My name is Keith Parrish. I'm here once again with my buddy through the miracle of computer phone. It was John Burr. John, how's it going?
Gators don't got me no more.
Gators don't got you anymore. Glad you pulled free from that. We actually, as a entity, we've rallied around you, John. We had a team-only meeting, and we said, you're our guy. We're going to stand
slogan?
behind you 100%. I don't.
What's the hoodie?
The My Brothers No Others? Or are we talking,
is that it?
Or are we talking about the redemption? No, redemption was last season. This year we have a new one. I think it's an acronym that maybe spells grace or something. I can't remember.
Someone in our
Rebirth was one of them.
Ryan Darling from our Patreon only Slack referred to Ja's tweets and social media presence as upside down place Magic Johnson, and that is just beyond perfection.
Was that a Stranger Things reference?
It is, but we'll just say like Generation Z Magic
That's fine.
Johnson. Maybe that works better.
Ja has been very zen on social media. He's posting literal yoga emojis and lots of just like peaceful type things. Keep up the good work, buddy. We're cheering for you. Anyways, John, this is episode 2 of season 10. We kicked off the season with our Eastern Conference Butter Parkays / over-unders earlier in the week. We're recording this little glimpse behind the curtain. Obviously, if you're in playback, you know what day it is, but we're recording this on Friday. I, in a very reckless decision, have decided that I'm not going to release this episode until the beginning of next week, probably Sunday or Monday. By the time you guys hear this on your little podcast apps on YouTube, first of all, we will have already done the negative fantasy draft. Apologies if you've missed out. That was on Sunday. But I'm also a little bit worried, John. James Harden will be traded by the time this comes out. So should we record multiple versions of the Clippers higher or lower when we get to that point?
No.
Okay, no.
No.
I
say no.
I think maybe we should, but that's fine. We didn't talk it over beforehand. We're risking this. Okay. James Harden, as of Friday, October 20th, has just skipped another practice. I think this whole 30 days thing, like you can't withhold services for 30 days. Like I think once the clock resets, is it 30 continuous days? Are these defensive 3 seconds rules? Is it continuous days?
These rules don't apply to people who have strip club guns that shoot money into the air.
Yeah. That was not a John Morant joke. That was yeah. Yeah. Maybe the rules don't apply for James Harden, but maybe he'll get traded, and maybe that will affect what our predictions are going to be. So on this episode, if you missed season 10, episode 1, go catch up. We gave you some announcements. We gave you a little information about ourselves if you didn't already know that. But we kind of laid down the law for what we do on this show with the Butter Parkays and the over-unders. I'll hit it again when we get there. Before we get there, though, we got to run through some segments, and that starts every time with our breakfasts. John, what'd you have for breakfast?
I think I've reached a sad portion of my relationship with McGaw's. They're no longer giving me my donuts in a bag. They're giving them to me in a box. This is a single order for a single person.
Yep.
And I'm receiving them in a box reserved for one can only assume is a baker's dozen of donuts.
It's a large box. Can you bring your own container? Can you bring your own recyclable? Could you bring your own little,
we'll get back to this
in
my worst of the week, but that is something I should really consider. I did try to get Sonic to just refill a different cup than this.
Yeah.
And they told me that it was against health codes.
Oh, interesting. Well, they probably can't bring your thing all the way to the little fountain. That makes sense.
I was like, can you just bring the cup out and pour it into my my
you're still wasting
embarrassing Nalgene. But then I was, I mean, I reckon so.
Yeah. My breakfast, my wife contributed to the show by bringing me a wild donut. I said, "Go get me some." She's like, I'm gonna go get a donut. Do you want one?" And I'm like, "Yeah, surprise me. Bring me something weird because it's show day. Hey, let's talk about it. Maybe it's tax deductible now. I just paid my taxes and it was ugly. I hated it.
Great.
Hey, one of the good things about us losing a lot of our funding, my taxes should be nicer next year. All right.
Yeah, I honestly,
silver lining.
The money that was made by Fastbreak Breakfast might have been helpful to 2/3 of our membership. Was not helpful to me.
Yeah, it's weird. This is like a very strange adult thing where it's like, you know what? That money, I kind of wish, maybe I never got it because now I got to pay like 40% of it, and that just stinks.
When there were money issues, I would always play. I don't care about the money. It wasn't just altruism. It was like, this money's messing up my taxes and my life.
It's pretty horrible. It's almost as if our country doesn't want you to be self-employed.
Right.
But anyways, my wife brought me a wild donut. It was pumpkin spice latte cream filled donut. It had some positives.
Jeez.
It looked as if it was a carrot cake sort of thing, which I love a carrot cake. It did have cream cheese icing, but once again, this place, it's too much. It's too much. You don't need icing and filling. No. And like, it had like a custardy pumpkin type filling.
Unless it's chocolate icing, I just don't think icing and donuts are a thing.
I mean, I can do a glaze. I like an icing, but
glaze
icing
is different. I don't consider glaze.
Well, when you're saying
icing to me, I'm thinking of like almost like a fondant, like a colored icing.
It basically was that. It was like a cake style icing. I think of like, there's the glaze, but even like a chocolate covering, like that doesn't count as icing necessarily to me.
See,
this
agree.
was like baker's icing, like it was just a huge tub of sugar and whatever.
These people watch those baking shows hosted by John Henson and or British people. Yeah. These people need to be stopped.
I think the donut itself was pumpkin spice flavored, and I think the filling was pumpkin flavored, and I think the icing was just cream cheese icing. The latte portion of it, I had a question. I was like, I don't taste the latte. Apparently there was like coffee flavored sprinkles, and I did isolate one to taste it. And I'm like, yeah, that's coffee flavored, but totally wiped away by the overwhelming sweetness and cream cheese pumpkin flavor. So it was a lot. I ate, I'm going to say 60%. I would say maybe right at like a 47 win pace is what I did with that donut, trying to finish it. Maybe I'll go back and finish it later. Who knows? But that was my decadent breakfast on this Friday morning.
But did you eat 3 of them, and were they given to you in a giant box?
No, it was one for me, one for the wife. They gave it.
I consider what you've done to be a health food.
Okay.
Selection. So
the box is not excessively wasteful, but probably rather, I think it's waxy enough where they can't recycle it, which is the way they
this box to me was like a statement of like, sir, you've had enough. This needs to be for a group of people.
Yeah. Those were our breakfasts. After our breakfasts, we moved to our breakfast in bed apologies. This is our chance to make right what we might have gotten wrong on a previous episode. We had like a 90-minute episode last time, so there were mistakes. And are there any that you would like to acknowledge, John?
I know you corrected me in living color, live as it were, when I kept referring to Miles Plumley as Cody Zeller.
You did that on purpose.
But
you said his name wrong just now on purpose. I don't believe you said Miles Plumley on accident.
And I might, and it might have even been a Cody Martin misstep. So I just want to say that I am paying attention to the Hornets. I do watch the Hornets. I apologize. I know that I think Cody Zeller's played for 3 teams since he's last played for what might have been the Bobcats when he was there. But Deepest apologies to Hornets fans. I can't step on this fan base any longer because I honestly. So my favorite player has revealed himself to be a complete buffoon and kind of embarrassment, and then was, for all intents and purposes, replaced by my least favorite player in Marcus Smart. That doesn't compare to what Hornets fans have been going through.
Hornets fans are going through a lot.
It's just not fair. And I apologize to the Hornets fans, and I'll endeavor to do better.
Okay. That was, I think maybe most people, if they don't know, I don't think you spelled it out very clearly.
Sorry. We are recording shows very quickly, Beck. We
are. But last episode you misspoke about Mason Plumlee and you called him Cody Zeller. And so
in an effort
fair apology
to juice up Mark Williams and the young Hornets.
There we go. My apology. I guess a couple things I could hit. One, I said the Raptors last year needlessly traded 2 second-round picks for Jakob Poeltl just so they could win 38 games. Probably a lot of errors in that sentence. The most notable one was they did not win 38 games last year. In our listener Slack, in our fact channel, Mike Friedrich pointed out they won 41 games last season. I still felt burned that I lost money on the Raptors last year. I bet them at negative odds to make the playoffs, and I lost that. I thought it was a pretty comfortable. I mean, their over under last year was something like 48 or something. Like people thought the Raptors were going to be good.
I had bet the Raptors over something like 7 years in a row and not lost. So
yeah. Well, they did not
win
30 games, like I said. Also, maybe they did not needlessly trade for Jakob Poeltl. My point was, I'm surprised anyone gave up 2 first-round picks for Jakob Poeltl. Did they really need to trade first-round picks for him to still not make the playoffs when they could have just signed him this offseason anyways? But that's what I meant. So, apologies there. Let's go ahead and move on since we got a lot of stuff to do. So those were our apologies. Let's go ahead and do right now our steak and eggs best thing. This is the best thing that we saw in the last week. John, what's your best thing?
Have you kept up with the Terry Stotts situation?
Yeah. So Terry Stotts, no longer with the Bucks as an assistant coach. What are your sources saying, John, about the situation?
I can't remember the article I read. I think it's the article that everyone has read, but the details that basically Adrian Griffin yelled at him and Terry Stotts quit. And I think is that
a real article?
Huh?
Is that a real article? I thought that was like an Apple Time situation. I thought it was a fake article, but I don't know.
Oh, really? Oh, I don't know.
I have no idea.
Got me. I'm 41
I only
years
saw
old.
a screenshot in our Slack channel, and I'm like, this is an Apple Time, where a comedy writer made up a bit. I don't know why Terry's done
I have the media literacy of the aforementioned Magic Johnson, so I don't know. Yeah, I thought it was real, but apparently he got yelled at, so he quit. And I just love a good, I love anything that I could perceive to be the beginning of a fall of like the Michael Douglas movie Falling Down. And I just love the notion of maybe this is the beginning of Terry Stotts just having had enough of this and maybe taking back the night. But I just like a good, you can't talk to me like that. See you later.
So all right. So I have just researched this, and yes, according to The Athletic, you are right. This is not a made up story. He was yelled at in practice in front of everyone. Whether or not that's the reason. I
do like that your stance is that if you haven't read it, it didn't happen.
I'm just saying we live in confusing times, John. We live in times of AI photos, of Photoshop,
because I don't think I clicked a link. I think I clicked a picture of an article.
And so anytime someone drops an article screenshot, I have to dispute that. I didn't believe ESPN wrote those things about Ja Morant till I actually went to ESPN and read them.
You
and I was
didn't believe that ESPN.com wrote that the Gators got him and that he's listening to too many race records.
I was surprised. and so I wasn't sure. I mean, my theory was a couple. One, they hired Terry Stotts just to recruit Damian Lillard And he said, my job's done. I'm going to go cash my check and go fish and live on my boat like I wanted to do. The other one being Terry Stotts secretly hated Damian Lillard. And he's like, oh, this guy again? I got to deal with this again? I'm out.
I definitely think what I thought happened were like kind of like hilarious but sad things.
Yeah.
Particularly even though I never thought Terry Stotts was very good, although boy, Chauncey Billups is making me rethink everything. I did kind of grow to like him in a strange way, just following the Blazers for so long. He was kind of like this hapless goofball on the bench.
Well, he had that almost sitcom dad flop sweat sort of just demeanor, even though he's a tall, extremely athletic man. You know, as far as like the spectrum of human beings in the world, he's like super fit, tall, NBA strong players, guy. Yeah.
Yes, they're athletes, but they're also all Jar Jar Binks. So like they are always humorous also.
Yeah.
So, but I just think it's great that I love it anytime a guy flushes, hundreds of thousands of dollars of money just so they don't have to take any crap off anybody.
I mean, yeah, he's like, I'm not. I love it. He's like, I don't need this.
Yeah, that's enter my house justified Sam Peckinpah energy, and I am for it.
Yeah. So Terry Stotts has stepped down. My best thing, John, and this could have been an apology because I meant to mention it on the last episode. My best thing is briefly everything in the Fastbreak Breakfast verse was right because Dwayne Bacon, one of our breakfast favorites, Dwayne Bacon played once again in an NBA game. He had 14 points on Monday night. John, Dwayne Bacon, who he play for?
So not the Magic.
Maccabi Ra'anana.
Oh, okay.
So everything was right in the world as our guy
playing with like Bruce Pearl's son or something.
Dwayne Bacon played. Like we still have Amir Coffee as far as breakfast names. But I'd been missing Dwayne Bacon. Darvin Ham, poor substitute. I needed Dwayne Bacon in the league, so I was very, very happy that he was back. So those were our best things. The opposite of our steak and eggs best things are our cream of wheat worst things. What's the worst thing you saw, John?
Well, back to single-use plastics. Have you seen these giant Vincent Wembanyama 20-foot skeletons that people are putting in their yards for Halloween this year?
Also, I have to know, John.
Yes.
Have you been saying you refuse to say Wembanyama? But I didn't know if that was like a bit you were doing. Because sometimes you do name bits. Sometimes you do subtle name bits for a really long time. I can't even
tell the difference between what you're saying and what I'm saying.
The last consonant in his last name is an M, not an N.
Oh, I think I'm saying M.
Okay, maybe I'm just hearing it wrong.
Yeah, that's how I spell it. I spell it with an M.
Okay, cool. We can check the tape. Yeah. I thought you were doing one of your I'm not going to say telling. like I'm not like Keith. I'm not going to say your son's name right, just as like a joke for years. And I thought maybe you're going Wembanyama.
No. I may have misspoken, but I do know. I do know that one.
Okay, good. I mean, I know. It's like when I know you for a fact.
And I just wrote it over and over and over again.
I mean, I know. I was going to say for our listeners, I know for a fact you are brilliant and smart and know tons of things, but like sometimes you lean into your country voice and then you're like, I'm going to say Miles Plumlee this time.
You got to sneak up on him.
And you got to sneak up on him. You're
low.
saying Home Depot is selling these 20-foot tall Wembanyama skeletons. Yeah.
And you can't store them. They're 20 feet tall.
I assume they disassemble, right? What do? You disassemble them? You take them apart femur by femur?
Are you going to keep the bones of the pilot from the Alien trilogy stored in your house somewhere? I don't have the storage for that. And the people who are putting these things out in front of their houses, they're not millionaires. They're just crazy people. And they're everywhere.
They're everywhere. How many are on your street, would you guess? I want to know.
7. I know exactly how many are on my street because we count them to and from school every day.
I would say in the 100 homes, the closest to me, there's only like 20 houses on my little street. But let's say on the 100 homes nearest to me, I would say there's 11, over like 11 and a half. It's a solid 10% of homes in our area. And I don't know what caused this. My theory was, So back in the pandemic, all right.
Sure.
The way I remember it, in the pandemic, this is when these things arrived. And it was kind of like, listen, we can't go out to eat. We can't go to sporting events. They've all been canceled, or they're happening in roped off parts of Disney World. And so people had, the fortunate people who had like salaried jobs or work from home jobs, they ended up with a little bit more income than normal. Also, there was like the government was sending us checks, and it was like, I feel like some people who were comfortably employed were like, I have a little bit of extra spending cash. You know what? It's been a hard year and everybody, screw it. I'm buying this giant skeleton at Home Depot. Like, that's what happened in my mind on my street. Again, very weird sample size of America. I was like, these people have gone nuts for Halloween this year. The Halloween decorations pandemic year, like 2020 and then 2021, were just unreal compared to 2019. And I was like, this is pandemic. This is also how I got into Lego. I never bought Lego before. And I'm like, screw it. I'm stuck at home. I'm now buying things online, and I've gotten into this big hobby. So that was my thought.
I did the same thing, but with pornography. So that makes total sense.
I'm paying now. No more free stuff for me. Yeah.
You know what? It's time to splurge.
Yeah.
If you know what I mean. And I think you do.
So I think, but now it's become like a thing where people are like, well, so-and-so down the street, he bought a two. How much do they cost, by the way? I have no do you know what they cost?
I don't know. I think I should look this up.
I'm going to look it up right now. There's an 18-foot tall Jack Skellington in my neighborhood, which I'm like, that's kind of amazing.
Is that a modified?
Well, that's a Nightmare Before Christmas.
Is that a modified Wembanyama skeleton though?
Yeah, I mean, you could. So yeah.
All right, I'm at HomeDepot.com and I just typed in skeleton.
Giant skeleton. I'm seeing. Whoa.
$300.
So I'm seeing. By the way.
Holy all right, hell! There's a 12.5-foot wide animated predator of the night.
So here's the thing I find terrifying. I typed in Home Depot giant skeleton, and the first search result was Jack Skellington, which is not what I searched for, but it's what I just said into a microphone. I'm freaked out.
That's how it works.
I'm freaked out by my router.
So it's a class thing. The 12-foot. So here's what you can find out. This actually is related.
Yeah.
So I think I've figured out how these skeletons are happening.
Okay.
People are going to buy Jack Skellingtons, which are $400, and then they're going, holy God, and then they're leaving with the $300 regular skeleton.
But I think the question you brought up first, and I'm still confused. I can't remember how this became your worst thing. Was where are they storing these things? How do they get stored? I know parts of them have to well, there's one house on our one street over that has 3 of them in the front yard, like a whole family of giant remains.
I mean, this is going to be sadder than Christmas when you see all the Christmas trees in the ditches. It's just going to be piles of bones.
But here's what does this happen in your neighborhood? In my neighborhood, they just put a Santa hat on them. These don't come down. These guys come up in September. They don't come down to January, which again makes sense. If you bought a $300 skeleton, might as well get your money's worth.
Have I told you the moment I realized that Taylor Swift was an AI robot creature?
No, you haven't.
It was so I'd never really noticed. It was in Vegas. It was in Vegas. We had a Taylor Swift themed cab, and so they're playing Taylor Swift karaoke screens in the cab. I'd never really paid attention to Taylor Swift, but because despite her omnipresence, she really doesn't have any catchy songs or songs that people know other than like maybe Shake It Off. I think that's the only one that has like entered the zeitgeist,
I don't there's no way that's true.
I can't think of any other Taylor Swift songs, and I'm in the music industry.
Yeah. I know very few because I live in like a weird bubble where I just hide from the world. My kids know lots of Taylor Swift songs.
Yeah, I just
think we're ignorant.
To me, especially because she has like different phases of her career, some of which were in like country and some, she just kind of her fan base is her fan base, and I don't think she even has to like cross over into everybody's world the way that a lot of pop artists have to. But so I finally am seeing her lyrics, which I assumed. I know some of them were written with the help of established songwriters, and some of them they claim at least are written by her herself. But here is the moment that I knew that no human being, or if there is a group of human beings doing this, you can't have 12 songwriters let this lyric get through. She has a song about being so crazy in love that they're going to leave the Christmas decorations up until January.
Yeah, I think you found something.
That's a giveaway. That's like a giveaway. Yeah. This is written by an alien race. Maybe she meant Halloween decorations. Maybe she meant the skeleton decorations until January. And she misspoke. That makes way, because that is crazy in love. Putting a Christmas hat on a skeleton is crazy.
So this also reminds me when I learned that Ben Gibbard from the Postal Service maybe wasn't totally up on sports, is when his Postal Service song talked about a hockey game being tied in the third quarter. And I'm like, there's not third quarters in hockey games.
He's not.
So we call those periods. It's a great song, man. It's a really lovely song. I arranged it for somebody's wedding for a string quartet, but like that line, it's like that line doesn't work. Anyways, I like how you, knowing like AI would pull out that I said Jack Skellington and it would show me an ad, you, in a last ditch effort to make our show big, have gone after Taylor Swift, hoping that we'll get some hate clicks.
Algo.
And, we'll get the algorithm working.
The algo.
I also like, in an episode where we said beforehand, let's try to move quickly through the opening things. You decided to have a long Taylor Swift aside about nothing.
Look, it's all about trying to fight the beast with him when I try to be like, hey, we should cut the early segment.
Here's my worst thing, John. It's not that I did awful at the fantasy draft I care about for like the 7th straight year. It's I don't know, when we do our over-unders, how are we supposed to include the 2 mystery games that every team has that's going to be part of the in-season tournament? Like, do good teams, if we think a team is going to win their group, that adds 2 extra hard games or something?
The numbers look juiced to me this year, so I think we're supposed to juice ours, but I can't tell.
So like, maybe I feel better about taking more unders, but like I'm still confused about the schedule. No one has still explained to me how we're going to make the schedule make sense if we don't know who's going to play who until the end of November. Like, it's
there
not going
to be settled. A massive gambling edge here, and I just can't. I'm not smart enough to find it.
Yeah, so that's my worst thing. Not knowing how to handle all that. Well, anyways, those were our worst things. Before we get to the Butter Parkay and the over unders, we do have a single listener question. Thought we had to hit one of those. The croissant questioner.
Drew asks, what shenanigans would you deploy if you were the trade demand GOAT, James Harden, that is, and you were trying to make Morey and the Sixers as uncomfortable as possible? First of all, I would learn flawless Chinese and deliver my trade demands in that language and proper dialect. I would learn Mandarin, and all my trade demands would be delivered in Mandarin. Second of all, I would, alluding to the strip club gun that fires money, I would demand that I'm paid by Daryl Morey showing up and firing said money into a stripper's, let's just call it a sternum, while holding up a Daryl Morey is a liar sign.
I think he already did that.
Yeah, you're right. That's the weird part, is everything we're saying is probably not as outlandish as what's already been done.
I've been rewatching 30 Rock again as like a wind down, and I do feel like there's a lot of like Tracy Jordan playbook things that that Harden could do, where he's just, hard to work with, and just randomly leaves, randomly insults workers.
Jokers are wild and fives are twos.
Yeah, and so maybe he could do some of the Tracy Jordan playbook. It does seem like maybe he could maybe politically make some stances that could be very difficult for the franchise to deal with. By the way, I thought maybe going very hyper local to our Grizzlies team again. John Conchar missed a few games in the preseason, and my secret thought was maybe he said something wild about Israel and Palestine. But no, it turns out
I love it.
That was my one theory where I'm like, I haven't seen no one saying anything about Conchar in a while.
I'm on a Jake LaRavia watch, to be honest with you.
Let's turn on our Jake LaRavia social media notifications. I just want to hear what they say. I want to see if they weigh in. I just want to I joke. I think James Harden, he's doing it, right? I feel like he's done the playbook. He literally went to China, called him a liar, said he's never going to play for him. Like, that was a huge one. Now he is just applying some more pressure, showing up a little bit, but not participating. I mean, I don't know. Is there a kill him with kindness option here where all of a sudden?
That's what I would do.
Yeah.
That's what I would do if I were Harden. I don't know. I think Daryl Morey's kind of proven his mettle as far as a diamond hard hands, game stonks level, fat roaring kitty. I think he's got the willpower to hang in there, James. And the Sixers have shown time and again that they don't need, they can have success without. While this like Tyrese Maxey recently went on some sort of players podcast, could have been Gilbert Arenas, could have been who else has got one now? Like Rashid's got one. There's a lot of player podcasts now, and I see like clips from them. And Tyrese Maxey was like, honestly, we are very used to this.
Yeah,
we've done this. We've done this before, So I mean, I don't know if Harden has much leverage. I mean, antics he could do
last year. As I sort of half jumped on the Sixers bandwagon because of my guy D'Anthony Melton, my favorite Sixers games were the ones where Harden didn't play.
Yeah.
Harden's great, and if the Clippers get him,
it is fine to think he's boring or that your team could have longer term success without James.
But just surrounding Joel Embiid with guys who don't vacuum up that much of the possession is a little more fun. I also kind of like the Sixers even more when Harden and Embiid didn't play, but that was just my personal aesthetics.
That's just Paul Reed. Pure peak basketball hipster. Yes, I drafted him in fantasy.
There we go. Anyways, thanks for the question, Drew. If you guys out there want your question answered on air or as part of our monthly Patreon only episode, well, you have to become a Patreon supporter. Patreon.com/Fastbreak Breakfast. It's the only way to play the fantasy sports that many of you have signed up and played for us. If you're hearing this, guess what? It's too late. I think this episode's coming out on Monday. So if you want to get involved with the next fun things we do on there, we play lots of games all year long. Also have exclusive bonus content. Also, there's the Slack channel where we discuss everything with our listeners year round and also around the clock. So if you want to support the show, get the bonus content, support the show at patreon.com/fastbreakbreakfast. Also, another little plug here. Try out Underdog Fantasy. If you want to play some daily fantasy for the NBA season, you can do very low stakes daily fantasy, which is something I enjoy doing. Also, they have NFL weekly fantasy. They have every single sport, and it's a lot of fun. And best thing is, if you use our promo code FBBF or click the link in this episode's description, they will match your opening deposit up to $500. So there's never been a better time to try out Underdog Fantasy. Once again, use that promo code FBBF or click the link in this episode's description, and they will match your opening deposit up to $500. All right, John.
Let's go.
Now we made it to the Western Conference. Butter Parkay /over-unders. If you're new around here, this used to be 2 separate episodes where we did the Butter Parkays, which is our very simple assessment of each roster, and we try to pick whether or not we think that team got better in the offseason. If they're better, we call that butter. If we think they are not better, not butter, well, imitation butter, that's parquet. Does parquet still exist? We're not totally sure. But we've now combined this into one episode. So we look at a team from the end of last season, how they finished post-trade deadline after the season ended, all the players they had, all the moves they made. And then in this offseason, where most teams feel like, oh, yeah, we got better. We did all these different number of things. We added this player. This player has improved. We hired this coach. We invested in our training facilities. Thus, we will be better. So we're going to look at each team and say if they got butter or not butter, which is parquet. And then we're going to pick our win totals and guess or assess whether or not we think they're going to go over or under those totals. And as a twist this year, if all that wasn't enough, we have asked our Patreon supporters to weigh in. So you will get my assessment. You will get John's assessment. And then the tiebreaker possibly will be what the very intelligent Fast Break Breakfast Patreon community says. Have I left out anything, John?
I feel like they're going to smoke us.
Oh, I definitely don't want to compare our records against theirs.
Well, we're going to have to probably.
We have to. Yeah.
But and I'm going to warn you, my Western Conference, I feel like really bad about my picks. Like when I look at them, I'm like, what have I done?
Yeah.
It feels like I had all those overs in the East, which is necessitated by a lot of unders in the West, and it's just I don't know what I'm doing. It doesn't feel right.
Yeah, I will say I am terrible at the Eastern Conference, but I've been killing it Western Conference. So I will give you some of our bona fides, our records. We always say that on every episode. We want to let you know exactly how we do. We want to be held accountable, because a lot of people just make their predictions and don't follow up. I will say, overall, I have been the worst historically of all of us, only getting 57% right of my overall picks. But I would like to highlight, John, Western Conference. Last year in the Western Conference, let's see, I went 10-5 of the 15. The year before, it was my weakest one, only 9-6. The year before that, 11-4. The year before that, 10-4-1. The year before that, 11-4. So I have crushed the Western Conference, which I would like to hopefully think is because it's the conference I watch, and not this is just random. We're all just guessing and we have no idea what we were doing. But our all-time records, John, like I said, I've gotten 50% of my picks correct, which frankly, not good enough to beat the VIG. But John, your all-time record is 154, 107-3. That's a 59% winning percentage. Our ex-host, Chuck, who retired to become a successful professional last year, he has a record of 154, 105-3, which is a 59.5% winning percentage. But the true magic is when we put our communal knowledge together. In the 9 years of doing this show, when 2/3 of us pick an over or under, we have a 62.2% successful rate, which is awesome. Very profitable. When we are unanimous on our over-under picks, all-time 78-37-2, that is a 68% winning percentage. You're not going to beat that with any model. No computer or AI can beat us. 68% is going to be a very successful way to go. So with all that, the longest of preambles, John, are you ready to get to our Western Conference? We'll go alphabetically, and we'll start with the Dallas Mavericks. John, did the Dallas Mavericks this offseason get butter or not butter?
I wish we had started with almost any other teams. Just because on paper, it seems very clear that unless you consider Grant Williams a needle mover, that I would say not butter. I would say parquet. And yet, as we get to the win totals, I like them to win more games, I think.
Yeah. So to specify, and this is what has always made the exercise confusing. When we do when we do our butter or parquet, we're just saying, do you think this year's team, if they can face last year's team, who wins? Like which roster is stronger? And obviously last year they didn't win that many games. They tanked their final 2, but things were not going well. They did not perform well in the games that Kyrie Irving and Luka Doncic played together. I think, John, so they added Seth Curry and Grant Williams. They didn't really lose any. Like they lost.
Yeah, Seth Curry being on the Mavs.
They lost.
Helpful. And also, how many times have they gotten Seth Curry back?
I think they've signed him 3 times. Is that right? But like they lost Christian Wood. Who cares?
Who cares?
They traded Davis Bertans. Probably who cares? Although Rashawn Holmes looks.
I'm not excited about them starting Derek Lively.
I think they're already giving up on their. We're going to start both Omex Prosper and Derek Lively. I don't think their personnel losses mean anything. And I think Grant Williams plus Seth Curry, gets good enough. Well, I will give them.
Okay.
I think they're butter. I think slightly butter.
Okay. I'll do the addition by subtraction.
Okay.
Christian would say butter as well.
So we'll both say they're butter. Now, when I go to my win totals that I picked though, I'm not very optimistic about the Mavericks this season. And this might be cliche, but it falls just back to I feel pretty good about every squad in the West. And I think it's going to be really tough on them.
If they hadn't a tank, they would have hit their over-under last year. Luka's too good.
Well, last year's over-under was like 48. They weren't even close. Yeah.
Well, but they lost 18 games on purpose.
No.
You don't think so? They look like to me like they tanked.
Just because Luka wasn't trying? I don't know. I
just gave it up.
I didn't. I was big last year on them being not that good. Like I'm like, I don't think this holds up. I think Jason Kidd's a first coach fired nominee. I'm not.
Look, I will say this too. The way they're set up, they're going to be really good defensively.
Yeah. Well, we thought they would last year. They were not. And if they stick with Lively and Omax, rookies are good defensive.
So you think they'll be as bad this year as they were in the last third of the season last year?
I think that 3 or 4 teams. I think 3 or 4 teams are going to be better than they were last year, and I trust them more than the Mavericks. And I think this season for the Mavericks is the pot about to boil over. I think things are terrible for the Mavericks this year.
It certainly feels like the whole organization is in disarray. Blah blah blah. I just don't think that stuff matters that much.
Yeah, might not
when it comes to regular season win totals. I think the win total being all the way down to 43.5 is so that's what you are thinking. So I think this will be an over.
Okay.
I think that because that's to lose 5 games off your win total when you've added what's supposed to be an all-star to your roster, because that was a mid-season acquisition.
Yeah.
That's a huge number of wins subtracted when you've added a Kyrie Irving, which is still supposedly a regular season plus, maybe not.
But I mean, what do you say? Well, I'm lost here with the math. Like 2 years ago, they won 48 or something. But like,
yeah, I would say so. And then they were supposed to be better, and they got worse.
And they got way worse.
Way worse. But I think that having the win total taken all the way down to 43.5 and having one of the 5 best players in the entire league, easy over for me.
So okay, I am.
I don't think they're going to win 48 games. I think they're going to. I think they're at least a 500 team.
Okay.
So
I think maybe 500 team, but we're talking 3 games over 500 to hit that, to get over 43.5.
Mm-hmm.
This, you got mad at me on the Eastern Conference that I was riding the line too much. And I guess I'm planting my flag on the Mavericks again.
Yeah.
I have the Mavericks way under. I think
if all of your picks are right by the Vegas line, you are destroying the exercise.
I don't mean to.
I know, but
I have the Mavs that's struggling at 39 wins. And I think that's
if that happens, then truly it has to be blown up.
Yeah.
I am kind of the opinion.
I think blow up's very possible.
And I think I have more evidence backing my train of thought than yours, because I lived through Grizzlies teams that win 50 games despite immense drama. We watched the Sixers win, have incredible records despite immense drama. I just don't think the drama matters as much as we think it does, which is why I don't like to bet on turmoil. These are just basketball games. They only have to get their shit together to win a basketball game. They're not trying to reach across congressional party barriers. This is just a game. Jason Kidd is smart enough. Is he smart enough to keep a locker room full of people happy and to navigate a $1 billion business world? No. Can he run a competent defense and beat the Rockets 10 times this year or whatever he has to do? Sure. Yeah. So I don't know. I just think I'm kind of with you. I think they're like a play-in-ish team.
Yeah.
But what you're saying, they would probably be out of the play-in, maybe?
I have them as a play-in. Again, 44 wins to me is going to be hard. And I agree. Okay, this makes me feel a little bit better about my over-unders. Okay.
All right.
I have I have 9 teams better than the Mavericks.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's a spoiler. I have 9 teams better than the Mavericks in the West. And that's going to make it where I don't see them hitting 44. Our community has 60% taken the under. Guess what? An even number of people responded, just like the Eastern Conference. They're tied on whether they got better or worse. So no help there. So community says under Mavs 43.5 wins. The Denver Nuggets, they lost Bruce Brown and drafted a bunch of old people, hoping that they would. I think that's everything.
That article about their GM shook me to the core.
Yeah. So Calvin Booth apparently
everything about it.
Apparently saying like that stuff I said to the reporter writing the article, that was supposed to be private. Like whoops.
Shook me to the core. They have gone from Masai Ujiri, who seems like, the Oppenheimer of hoops, to what appears to be
is Masai Ujiri just doing his Oppenheimer like life thing? This is the Outcast version where he's a pariah.
Yes.
Wow.
I mean, that article was deeply insane to me and gave me pause.
Pretty straightforwardly, we don't think the Nuggets are better. Right?
No.
Yeah. Our audience thinks 90% of them said no. This is parquet.
Do I think it matters? No.
Okay. So what is your what's your personal win total that you're picking for the Nuggets?
I'm under the 53.5, but that's not because I have them winning 52, 51 games, 52.
Okay, so they're 53.5. So I have them as my 1 seed, but I put them with 53, and so that's under. Yeah, that's so you and I are both under.
They had a lot more. They've outdone, perhaps because of home court advantage, perhaps because they have the greatest league basketball player. They've outdone their expected wins probably more than any other team in the past few years.
That's because they're perfect in clutch situations.
Yes,
and that is not an outlier to me.
I agree.
Jokic is literally that good in the clutch. Yeah.
But I do think, they don't have anything to prove in the regular season.
Correct.
So I think we can kind of see them settle into the ways and methodology of other teams that don't have anything to prove in the regular season. That's the difference between like this Nuggets team and like a Kings team to me, where the Kings have a lot to prove and are going to be night in, night out, tough outs. And that reflects to me in their win totals. I do think the Nuggets are clearly the best team in basketball. And the fact that they don't win as many games as perhaps the Celtics, Bucks, doesn't reflect on who I think they are.
So I thought it was funny you mentioned that the Jokic's clutch performance.
Mm-hmm.
You talked last episode about one of the weirdest betting props out there is the most improved player. It's right now Mikal Bridges is the favorite for that.
Insane.
The weirdest thing you can possibly bet for anything is the clutch player, because that is the most arbitrary. That might be more arbitrary than the Hustle Award. De'Aaron Fox won it last year because he had a lot of clutch points, which again, clutch points are defined by the NBA as if the game's within 5 in the last 5 minutes, and he had a great field goal percentage. That stuff is not consistent year to year. That changes randomly year to year. So trying to guess who's going to win best clutch player, there's no point whatsoever. It's just buy a lottery ticket. There's no analysis you could possibly come up with that makes a lot of sense on that one. By the way, all right, so you and I are both under the Nuggets just because 54 wins is a lot to win in a regular season. Our listeners are slightly on the over. So slightly on the over for the Denver Nuggets. All right, the Golden State Warriors, John. They traded Jordan Poole for Chris Paul, which is, I think, a sound move. They lost Dante DiVincenzo, but they're going to depend on, I guess, a little more Kuminga and Moody. They have Dario Saric now. Rudy Gay and Corey Joseph might make the team. I'm not sure. What's your take on whether or not that? I guess the big move of getting Chris Paul for Jordan Poole, does that make him butter, or are we thinking that's an imitation improvement? It's just parquet.
They got rid of a person that got punched in the face, but they exchanged him for the player that they hate the most.
Yeah, that's a true. I
guess it depends on if they're going to punch him in the face.
I think maybe an easier way to say it.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, I was going to say they traded the person they hate currently for someone they used to hate. So maybe that's just better. The things aren't as.
I'm always on the add Chris Paul bandwagon. Like
Chris Paul always makes you better.
Yeah, so
every team Chris Paul joins wins more games. By the way, that's a spoiler for the over/under. Every team Chris Paul joins his entire career has won more games, and the team he leaves wins fewer games. That's another spoiler for our over/under. So I think the addition of Chris Paul, I think they're a little bit better. So I'll say butter. As far as their win total, I don't actually remember what it is this second. So I'm going to say I picked them for 4.
I got it.
I picked them for 47 wins. Where does that put me?
You're under, and we're in the same boat.
Okay.
It's just a high number, right?
The Warriors haven't come close to that in years.
It's 48.5, and I don't think Chris Paul makes them that much butter. And also, I think 47 is a lot of wins, and that's where I have them. This is one of those lines where it was like, oh God, when I saw that, it's like, wow, that's a lot of wins. I mean, how am I supposed to bet this? This is messing with my methodology because I thought I was going to be an over, and here I sit as an under. But I just think the West is a logjam, like we alluded to. I have the Nuggets as the top squad with 52 wins, and I don't have many teams close to them. So,
yeah, I have the Warriors tied for the third best record with 47 wins. So, I think that the win totals are going to be low because of how competitive I feel like the conference and the entire NBA should be this year. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm with you. 49 feels high. I feel very comfortable.
Also, I believe Draymond's out a long time, and this was a team.
So for fantasy reasons, I was trying to find out. It's very murky. I don't know how long he's going to be out, but Draymond being out, I think hurts.
And this team was not even average defensively last year. So I think if Draymond is out again, that there should be some real struggles, and I think there will be injuries for the Warriors.
Yeah. So our listeners,
we could have some rough stretches for them.
Our listeners have strongly said they're butter, so they also I think the Jordan Poole for Chris Paul move.
Well-reasoned folks.
60% of them have taken the under, so we are now unanimous. That's a unanimous under. Our first unanimous for the Warriors. Unanimous under 48.5 wins. Our next team to get to, the Houston Rockets. I think this is an easy one. They stunk last year, and they added Dylan Brooks. I'm setting you up, John. So Parkay, they're worse. I knew it. Yeah, teamwork. No,
actually, regular season wins. That's very buttery.
Well, yeah, you have to win more than they won last year. But all right, so they got rid of Kevin Porter Jr. for
buttery
for reasons. They basically got rid of a bunch of guys they drafted late in the first round over the past couple seasons, and they added Fred VanVleet and Dylan Brooks. And they got Amin Thompson, Cam Whitmore. Who cares? But this team's butter. They have more talent. All the young guys are 1 year older, and they added seasoned NBA rotation players from playoff teams.
Yeah, we've talked about Dylan Brooks being, or I have talked about Dylan Brooks being the equivalent of an innings eating pitcher. I think this is a great place for him. This is going to be hilarious. I will watch more Rockets than I could have ever conceived of this year.
Yeah.
The over-under, however, to me is crazy.
So what is the over-under?
Let's hear your number first. I'll tell you how under you are.
Oh, I am too swayed once again by my love of Dylan Brooks and by the whole they have to give their draft pick away.
I get it, but you're still going to be under.
Oh, well, I have 32 wins.
Oh my God, you're over.
So I'm over. Yeah.
That's like 12 wins better than last year.
Yeah.
That's like adding Larry Bird to your team better than last year.
Yeah, but like they won.
They did tank.
They had Steven Silas, and they were horrible. And like they played all their worst players. They wouldn't pass.
I will say this: if you think Joe Mazzulla is a bad coach, Ime Udoka is not as good as Joe
I don't know.
Mazzulla
So I don't know what the coaching is going to be like, but I do think like literally just not having Kevin Porter Jr., moving Jalen Green like possibly to the bench, like a more traditional role. Like
I can't see that happening.
Maybe it doesn't happen. I think Amin Thompson is a perfect complementary NBA piece that's going to come right in. I just think playing like competent players, I don't know, and the motivation. Like I feel terrible about this. And honestly,
you are over. It's 31 and a half.
My win totals still don't add up. I still have too many. This is the first year. I got it down to 12-30. I'm still 9 wins over. I thought about just killing, like who do I have an over on? And I mean, an under on, and then just subtracting them all, being like, I don't care.
You in this potentially final season have truly, this is the twist ending where you are now Chuck. You were Kaiser Soze all along.
Yeah, I basically look at all the teams with the low over unders. You didn't
even bother getting the numbers right. You're like, I got them over.
No, yeah, my numbers aren't right this year.
This one's over. This team's over.
I have basically taken all the unders on the high numbers and all the overs on the low numbers. I'm just middling this year. I'm middling.
You're Bill Simmons in the I don't write articles anymore portion of your career without the $200 million.
That's right. That's right. So 31 and a half.
Sorry.
Like this team could easily win 19 games again because there's like, yep. The Fred VanVleet and Dylan Brooks, guess what? Bad at shooting. And then we have all these young guys.
They let Fred VanVleet walk.
Yeah, the Raptors did. Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah.
So you're what's your win total as you've taken the under? But how many wins do you think they get?
I mean, I do think they'll win close to 30 games.
So you're throwing a fit over my going to 32.
I'm not throwing a fit. I just was very surprised that you. I was so because I just think I think the number's bad.
Yeah,
I think 31 and a half is so many considering that's a drastic improvement from a very, very bad team. And I do think the guys they added are just regular season warriors, which I don't think means like, yeah, they're going to win 10, 15 more games.
Although,
but
John,
you make it a compelling point about the draft picks.
In the Eastern Conference, we were unanimous over on the Pistons. And that means that that's a 10-win improvement for that Pistons team. Didn't really add anybody. So we could
But Cade Cunningham didn't play last year.
Cade Cunningham's coming back. We got high hopes for Monty Williams. I know.
Okay. Let's be honest about the Pistons. We just really like Duren.
Yeah, Duren to start time. Yeah, let's do it.
They're really fun. And then the Rockets, Dylan Brooks plays for the Rockets. So.
65% of respondents took the over.
Took the over.
Yeah,
I don't think these people bet on over-unders in real life.
That's
when you look at a shift from season to season that immense.
That's what. Hey, that I know. I remember this led you astray with the Suns last year. Like, yeah, where they came down like 18 wins or whatever. Let's keep rolling. We have lots of teams to get to. Look at the Los Angeles Clippers, who now we can record our two versions. Who just traded for James Harden, a clear butter from last year, or they have not done anything as we record right now on Friday. No, they're not butter. They didn't do anything. They did turn down paying luxury tax on Eric Gordon. So yeah. they're parquet. Listeners agree. You and I agree. But they're over under 46.5. They're going to sail past that with the new addition of James Harden, but they haven't gotten James Harden. This number has baked in that they're going to trade for somebody. I feel like
it would have to be because like I'm off the Tyronn Lue thing. Like seems bad to me now.
Playing,
or gave up. I don't understand.
If he keeps playing Marcus Morris,
that was one of the more disappointing. This is the most disappointing team, and the most disappointing coach of last year. and I cannot possibly take an over on a team that honestly is everything that's wrong with the NBA right now. I like truly don't care about regular season performance. Don't care about, it's just like it's everything that they're worried about and they're fighting to change is personified in one team. Yeah. And I'm not going to give them an over on regular season wins because that just seems foolhardy. Also, like you said, number's crazy, 46 and a half.
Yeah. So 46 and a half. So this team to win 47 games, like I'm a huge believer in Kawhi Leonard and a huge believer in Paul George. And like, all right, if you get, but is he going to do the math? Like, what do you get? You hope you get 41 games where they both play, they don't overlap. Like if Paul George has a good year, that's we're talking 70 games. If Kawhi has a good year, we're talking 60 games. And like to win 47 games in this Western Conference feels very, very hard. I had him at 44 wins.
I've got him even lower.
And so, yeah, this is until they trade for James Harden. Oh, they traded for James Harden just now. Breaking. I'm kidding.
Good luck getting to 48 wins with James Harden.
You make a good point. It's a tough Western Conference. I'm under. You are under. The listeners are 80% under. 80% under. So yeah, that's a unanimous under on the Clippers. And now we go to the Lakers, who our listeners think got butter. They added Gabe Vincent. They added Taurean Prince. They're the one team that can make Christian Wood hustle, I think, possibly. No, I think it's a simple butter. They didn't lose anybody. They lost Lonnie Walker. Like, whatever. They did a great job retaining the guys they wanted with Rui and Austin Reeves and D'Angelo Russell. They're going to play Austin Reeves more this year. Like, he obviously established himself.
That's their big three, bro.
Down the stretch. And he,
as they should. He's awesome.
So I just think, just keeping the guys they had post trade deadline and then just adding like a Gabe Vincent, maybe the Dennis Schroeder takeaway means something, but like, I think it's a slight butter when we look at their end of the year. I think they're going to be good.
So yeah. Let me say this. I don't necessarily think the additions are butter.
Okay.
So I probably would say, I don't think they improved. I don't think the roster is improved.
But the roster end of the year is good.
Yes. Yeah. Let's look at the number. It's 47 and a half. This is the one
very high.
I feel weirdest about, and allow myself to explain. I think the Lakers are awesome. I think they will beat the ass of most teams in the playoffs. I cannot pick them to win 48 games. I have to go under. So there's too much evidence to the contrary that they do not give any cares about regular season wins. And we're also dealing with old, fragile men.
So
I can't do that. I can't take them to be have one of the highest win totals with the way they're built. Doesn't make sense.
I think it's very similar. My opinion is very similar to yours. I think they're the second best team in the West.
I think I probably agree with that, but I cannot. And that's only if they remain healthy, though. I do want that caveat.
I do think I'm so close to the line, but I am a slide. I have them 48 wins, so I have them as my 3 seed in the regular season, which again would be like this team is not one.
I got them at 45. I don't think they care about the regular season.
Don't care.
I wouldn't be surprised if they had they will be a play-in team if they want to be. They don't care.
I mean, that's playing with fire, but LeBron misses games now, which is like, unfortunately, he never missed games for his first 17 years. But so
a magisterial performance by AD to get them where they were last year.
Yeah.
If that doesn't happen? I just not a regular season team. I can't take the over. The over's high.
So wait, it's 40. So I wrote him down at 48. So I'm actually over.
Oh, you're over. I'm under.
It feels idiotic.
Well, it is idiotic because you have 9 extra wins.
Yeah,
if you would like to shave a win and go under right now,
I've actually been live updating. I've shaved it down to 5 extra wins. I'm down to 1235. I could. Yeah, I'll shave one off.
It's time. It's time.
I'll shave one off with the 47 wins.
I'm sure that the slack took over.
I just shaved off another one for another team. I'm down to 2. I'm only 3 wins high now. Only 3 wins high.
Take the rest off the Grizz.
So I had the Lakers at 47. The narrowest of unders. And again, I think the Lakers are the second best team in the West, but that's a high number. And just knowing that like that line's juiced because of Lakers fans, like it's always juiced. So like, yeah, our listeners are excited to take the Lakers over.
Good. Well, I don't want to agree. Anyways, I don't want to be unanimous. I have no confidence here or the next team. The next team is the one I struggled the most with. So
that's our team, right?
Nope.
We are now.
Oh, I'm sorry that I looked past them.
We're now to the Memphis Grizzlies.
I did not struggle with the Grizzlies. I did not struggle.
Well, great. We'll get to our Memphis Grizzlies over under right after this short break. All right, John. The Memphis Grizzlies. All right. First of all, I'd like to speak for you. When we do our Butter Parkay over under, you have to say they're butter because they got rid of Dylan Brooks, who you were like, this guy's killing us, right?
Absolutely. Huge. Yes.
So huge butter for the Grizzlies. Yeah, they lost Tyus Jones too, but the acquisition
and that's
Marcus Smart kind of covers it up. And so you think this team is butter?
Correct.
Okay.
Do I think they overspent on Marcus Smart? Yes, I do.
Okay.
But no, I think they're butter. It's mostly addition by subtraction. I will miss Tyus Jones, but I dislike people like people will think that Dylan Brooks and Marcus Smart switch is 1 for 1. I like Dylan Brooks as a human being, person. I enjoy his antics.
Yeah.
He's a maniac. Makes me laugh. I thought he hurt us so badly in the playoffs that it was maddening. Marcus Smart's my least favorite player as a person, as his antics.
I like how this person you don't. I like how you specify. Sorry, I like how you specify how this person you don't know, Marcus Smart. Correct. You're like, I just like him as a human.
Yeah, I just like his face and his energy. He's been dragged down by the Gators, but I do think he's pretty good.
Yeah,
I know that he's not as good as Derek White. He's, I know that he's in, especially if you listen to Bill Simmons, Ryan Russillo, in sharp decline. But I do think he's pretty good, and I think he's a great perimeter defender, and I think he may not be as good an offensive player as Tyus to me, but I think he'll fill in ably, and I think the Grizzlies will be really, really hard to score on.
Yeah,
like unbelievably hard to score on, and I think the over/under is pretty disrespectful to the Grizzlies and not really paying attention to what the Grizzlies have done with multitude of injuries and suspension type. We're very used to players missing huge chunks of the season and being just fine.
Yeah. So
the over under is 45.5.
Yeah. So as far as my butter or parquet, I like they're barely butter, maybe. I'm not even like overwhelmingly convinced that they got a ton better. And of course, as a reminder, as we do the exercise, we don't look at Ja's suspension. We don't look at anybody's suspension. We assume this team with, unless you have like a catastrophic like injury, like we're not including Brandon Clark on this team, but like once, if Ja Morant's available, they're going to be as good as they've been. So like, I guess I'll give them they're marginally butter, but I'm not like, they didn't overhaul their roster. I think Jaren could be better again. I think Desmond Bain is going to be better, but like, I'm not baking in a lot of other improvements in other areas. So I'll give them a tiny bit butter. Our listeners, they said no, slightly no, which I think that's fair on the butter or worse.
Wow.
The win total though, John, the 45 wins. Yeah, I don't have any problem with that. I think they're going to win that. I think they're win 40. I have it at 47. I think they're going to win over 45.5 without any issue.
All we do is win 50 games. We'll win 50 games again this year.
There you go. Yeah. So you're over. I'm over. The Grizzlies have gone over 4 straight years.
Will getting rid of Dylan Brooks give us any playoff success? Probably not.
Probably not. No, probably not. But our listeners, 75% of them have said over as well. So that's a unanimous over.
We're the Sixers of the West.
Yeah, we're the unanimous over on the Memphis Grizzlies. The next team, the Minnesota Timberwolves, Did they get better this offseason?
Hardest one for me.
So they added, and I guess I could have been conferring with like a real GM before this. I have not. This has all been top of the dome.
Wow, impressive.
Hopefully I haven't left anything out.
Well, with the Timberwolves, top of the dome will do you.
Well, I mean, I know that like they weren't super active this offseason. I did like them adding Shake Milton as just a backup point, like a backup kind of combo guard. Beyond that, they didn't do it. I mean, they didn't lose. They basically traded Taurean Prince for Shake Milton, right? That's kind of their entire offseason. I'm trying now. I actually am conferring. I
have no read on this team.
Troy Brown Jr.
Just stop it.
I think they're not going to miss Taurean Prince. I think so. I
like Taurean Prince, but yeah, sure.
I am going to bake in the FIBA Anthony Edwards bump just to say they're butter. I don't really care about the butter or parquet for this team. I think having another year, and obviously they're getting like, we can maybe include that Cat's going to be healthy this year. Jaden McDaniels might get better.
Can we?
I don't know, but I do think
I want to take mental health into the equation.
I think this one is tough because there's not much roster change. So I'll just say, yeah, who cares? Maybe butter, not butter, because they didn't do a whole lot. Is that kind of where you're at? They didn't get worse, right? I mean, they're not actively worse, but you know, the exercise is, they're not butter. Yeah,
I'm so deeply confused by this team, from roster construction to how they'll play together this year. Any outcome, you could tell me that the Wolves put it together and were one of the best teams in the West this year, or you could tell me that the Wolves fell apart and won 33 games, and I would be sure.
So
I also don't know if Cat, can they trade Cat? Is this the year they trade Cat? I don't understand what's going on. I hugged the line on this. I have them at 43 wins, which is a slight under. But I feel completely clueless about this team. And I know that's not a popular thing to say as a podcaster, but I have no takes. I don't understand. I can't figure it out.
So I think, by the way, our listeners think this team got not butter. They did not improve, which is fair. They kind of sort of sat on their hands. But I do think sitting on their hands was sort of an okay thing to do because they made the trade deadline move. They got rid of D'Angelo Russell. They brought in Mike Conley. They have, they'll get more time together with Gobert and Cat, and maybe that'll work out a little bit better than it did at the beginning of the year last year. Like, it was rough for the team at the beginning of the year last year. Also, this team last year, they played some guys who were terrible.
Yeah.
All right. Like,
I want to give them a bump just because they have Kyle Anderson for a second year, baby.
Like, Jalen Noel played 1,200 minutes. Austin Rivers played 1,000 minutes for this team last year. Like, they're going to replace those minutes with Nickeil Alexander-Walker, who's looked pretty good, with Shake Milton and with Mike Conley. And I think Cat's going to play way more minutes. I think it's a pretty comfortable over. Like, they were solid last year with all this. Yeah. Like, they won 42 games last year.
When you say comfortable over, do you mean exactly 3 games over? Because I would like you to shave those 3 games right now.
Oh wait, let me see. I can shave them off. What's my total?
If they're still over, then it's okay.
I have the Timberwolves at 45 wins. What was the over under?
You have them under, I think. Nope, you have them half game over, but you need to
shave. So just a half game. No, I'm not shaving. I'm leaving. I'm sticking with my Timberwolves over. That number is higher than I think I saw it earlier this summer.
Me too. So I have them under, and I don't have negative feelings about them. I can't get a read on it. I don't give a damn about an international bump from Anthony Edwards or any of that hogwash. Well, I think this is a big Cat question, and a big Finch question. I think Anthony Edwards is who we think he is. He's a very good guard.
Yeah.
I don't think he's going to make a leap based on some international play.
Well, ignore international play, John. Just say he's a young guy, going into his 4th year, who has averages 30 points per game in the playoffs. He could very well be on that superstar trajectory or that all NBA level trajectory.
Yeah, I think he's, he's Donovan Mitchell now.
Yeah.
Is that enough?
I mean, you pair Donovan Mitchell with Kyle Anderson. Yes, sir.
Dude.
I'm
a big fan of the Timberwolves, except for Karl Anthony Towns, who is very difficult to watch play basketball. Who could you have ever imagined that someone's Rudy Gobert would join a team and someone's Q rating would get below Rudy Gobert?
Yeah.
Amazing. Kyle Anderson punched Rudy Gobert, and he likes Rudy Gobert more than Karl Anthony Towns, I'm quite sure.
Yeah, it's a great point. Yeah, that number is a little high.
Very high. That one and the Lakers one are the ones that made me feel crazy. But
our listeners might be biased because we have a whole Timberwolves channel in our Slack. I think they might have all voted because they are strongly in favor of the over.
Cool.
So 2/3 over on the Timberwolves.
Homerism is encouraged.
Absolutely.
I just took the Grizzlies for 50 wins.
The Pelicans.
Oh, you're about to make fun of me.
You're all in again on the Pelicans?
Yeah.
Oh, wait. The Pelicans, did they get better or worse, John? They didn't do anything.
Butter in the sense that there's no way it can go this poorly again. Although it already kind of is going this poorly again. They're like hurt at the guard position all the way down to like they're like starting the guy behind Najee Marshall. This is a Dyson Daniels team right now.
John,
they might be cursed.
If we look, all right, you're allowed in this exercise to like basically add Zion. I think that's fine because
I am adding Zion.
If you take away Zion, because Zion did play last year. If you look at this roster and if you don't include Zion as talent acquisition, do you know who the best free agent they signed this offseason is? Cody Zeller.
Wow. I like it. I like the fit.
I'm going to lead you. I'm going to give you the names of the players real GM has under added for this offseason. Isaiah Brockington. That's Isaiah with a Z. Jalen Crutcher, Kaiser Gates, Malcolm Hill, Trey Jameson, Tevion Jones, Cody Zeller, and they drafted Jordan Hawkins. John, I don't know.
I had never heard of any of them.
I don't know who any of those people are outside of Cody Zeller and Jordan Hawkins. So like, I think
this is a do-over year for the Pelicans.
I agree with you. Do-over year. I think talent-wise, looking at the roster, I got to say Parquet, unless we want to include Zion. Which again, it's our rules. We make them up. You can go either way you want. But win total, you basically tipped your hand. You feel optimistic and positive about this team.
The win total is 44.5,
which is the same number as everybody else. It's the same. It's like, I'm gonna go. Slide under. I'm gonna go 44. No, honestly, John, I'm shaving my wins right here. I'm shaving them all.
There you go. Might as well. If you're riding the line that close.
No reason to ride the line. You're going over then.
The curtain has not been pulled back. The curtain has been ripped down, and you are standing. You are laid bare nude.
Fine.
The Emperor Parish hath no clothes.
Letting everybody in.
I'm way over. I haven't won 48, 49 games. I think this could be one of the best teams in the West.
Even with Trey Murphy 3, he got the same John Morant suspension, except it was an injury. He's going to miss 25 games with a.
I think the Pelicans are so stacked.
They got a lot of good guys.
I'm not even freaking out, even though that like Murphy's hurt, Alvarado's hurt. They're going to play. I kind of like Dyson Daniels. Like
he
they
stinks.
Are so
Dyson
stacked.
Daniels stinks.
I don't know. He looks energetic to me.
That's the sound of a man who watched a preseason game.
Yeah, very much so.
All right, so
preseason has the like 4 preseason games I watched have poisoned me so badly.
So 44.5. I'm under. I'm now way under. You're over.
Way over.
Our listeners. Let's check it out. Our listeners are under. 63% of them under. So 2/3 under on the Pelicans. The Thunder. Easy butter. Good Lord.
God.
Yeah. They added Chet Holmgren. I mean, that there. Oh my God. Chet Holmgren looks like an absolute monster. So like, easy.
But looks like they maybe added the best rim protector in the entire league.
So they're easy butter. Somehow 10% of respondents said they're worse. They're over under. They are also at 44.5 wins with everybody else.
Yeah.
That's like
I'm under.
I'm under 2. I am going to ride the line 44.
I did it too.
This is the team I could see winning 50 games. This is the team I could see being very, very good. I don't have question marks about this team. I think they're going to be very, very solid. They are not going to sneak up on anybody. They're going to be circled by everybody.
Exactly. So my issue with the team, I think they're going to be better. I think they won 40 games last year, something like that.
Yeah.
I just think now teams are going to be up for them.
Yeah.
And I think that is a totally different season-long experience for them that I think will impact the win total significantly. I like them. I like them to get better as the year goes on, but I still think they end up, 44 wins, between 42 and 44 wins, I think is a successful and good season for them. I don't think they're trying to. I also don't. The notion that teams take these leaps all the time is kind of a logical fallacy. And then I with the way the West is shaken out, I honestly think 44 wins, 43 wins is a tremendously successful season for the Thunder. And that's what they're shooting for. And I don't see a path to 50 wins. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think it's going to be difficult for teams that regularly get 50 wins to get 50 wins.
Yeah.
I don't see a rise.
I think the path, I think the path is Holmgren plus Jalen Williams year 2 being incredible. And then Shea, and this team now feels kind of deep. They could get there. I don't feel great about it. I think they could blow past it.
They also this is a team that's going to have to learn how to win big games, learn how to win, to overcome adversity, and I think we'll watch them do that. Hopefully, doing the West is actually painful this year because it's just you're not saying anything about team quality with your over/under picks.
That's a good point to emphasize. Not surprisingly, our listeners went over, and they're probably correct. Good job, you guys. The Suns. So the Suns, we can just say they got butter, even though I think they've made some risks. No Ayton, no Chris Paul, bring in Bradley Beal, bring in a bunch of other just kind of dudes. Their over-under is going to be tricky. I have planted my flag on them being overrated. I have them at 50 wins, and I know that is an under.
51.5 is the
51.5 is the number. You agree there?
I'm also under.
So yeah, butter, but under.
I also do not know if they're butter.
Yeah.
I think Yusuf Nurkic is absolute trash. I think Brad Beal is. Let's see how Brad Beal does in this role. Maybe Brad Beal becomes a useful NBA player again. I think Brad Beal as your best player was proven to be absolute trash.
Yeah. Just has to be third best.
Yeah. I think I think they're about the same. I still think Chris Paul is just rules. So when you lose Chris Paul, I think
when you lose Chris Paul, you win fewer games. It's a it's a proven rule. You and I agree on the under. The listeners powerfully 70% say over. Go with your gut. Good job.
I will say the one preseason game I watched of them looked magisterial. They look awesome.
They look awesome.
I think they'll be fun. I look forward to watching them. I can't say enough about Devin Booker as a player. And I think if KD's healthy, they could blast through this. But if KD's healthy, are we listening to ourselves?
Devin Booker's going to score 80 points in one game because Bradley Beal and Kevin Durant are going to miss 20, 30 games. The Trailblazers, did they get butter, John? No. Parkay, easy Parkay. One weirdo said yes, they did in our respondents.
Joe Yoder.
Over under 28.5 wins. What say you, John?
I've big time under. 22.
Yeah, I have taken I've now made everything level out, and I'm with you at 22 wins. I had him at 25. This could be the thing. The one thing that has messed me up is this is like the team I circled as like the year we picked the Grizzlies to win 22 games and they won like 35 because Ja was so good. Maybe Scoot's that good.
That's the Jazz.
Okay, maybe. All right. Yeah. So 22 wins just because they want to lose. Are they going to their talent is also pretty low.
They don't have to want to lose. This is Chauncey Billups coaching a bunch of youngsters.
Who knows?
Misfits.
Chauncey Billups hired to get them to the playoffs. Whoops. Did not happen. Now he's on a rebuild. I mean, Jeremy Grant, Shaden Sharp, DeAndre Ayton, Time Lord, Malcolm Brogdon,
Time Lord's broken.
Hewitt Henderson.
I think Brogdon is their
Matisse
best player.
Thybulle. I don't know. I feel like this team could be frisky and fun, but the rest of the West.
They're a late night West Coast team. I'd love for them to just crush this and be the sneaky awesome team, but I cannot see it.
80% of people said under on the Trailblazers. The Kings. People are not that excited about the Chris Duarte acquisition. Our listeners,
the starting Chris Duarte.
75% of the listeners said not butter, which I'm fine with that. I don't have, this is one, it's like totally even. I don't know anything about like the big guy they signed from overseas who's like a good shooter or something.
The MVP of that league.
Yeah. Fasinko, is that him?
Seems pretty buttery, honestly.
Yeah.
Seems a little buttery, boys.
All right, might as well. I am not going to argue about this one. This is a pure ignorance. Like, it's the same team as last year. Maybe year 2 Keegan Murray does some stuff.
They care a lot about lighting the beam. A lot about lighting the beam. This is like the outlier. This is a team that cares about regular season wins.
But I'm not even doing the wins. Not even doing the wins yet. I'm just saying, like, as far as the
okay, gotcha.
Yeah. I don't know. Vezenkov, that's the one. Sorry, I had the Fazinko center guy, that guy who played back in the day. No, yeah.
Is that a Moscow trained thug?
Sasha Vezenkov is like their big acquisition. And it's like, all right, sure. Same team plus that guy. Okay, fine. I don't care. But win total. You said this team wants to light the beam. So you're feeling pretty good about their regular season wins?
44.5. Yeah, I have them at 48.
Ooh, so this is yet another 44.5 team.
Another. Yeah.
And I have them slide over. I have them 45. So we're both over 44.5. This feels like that number is so low. I think the thing you're required to say is they were totally healthy last year, and maybe they won't be this year. But they
play so fast. The offense is so good.
Yeah.
They beat the hell out of the bad teams.
Yeah.
Consistently beat the bad teams. They don't. I mean, it's just they're kind of a regular season juggernaut to me.
This feels like the trap team though, where you kind of exceed expectation the year before, and then you drop off a lot. I don't know, but I agree with you where it seems like they should be able to win 45 games, no problem.
Our listeners. I'll be honest with you. The two teams that I feel the weirdest about in the West were the Timberwolves and the Kings, mostly to do with the Kings' health being so perfect last year. But I honestly just think that stupid light the beam campaign is going to matter a lot in the regular season.
89% of respondents said they will go over 44.5 wins. So Jesus. That is that makes it a lock that Vegas will win this one. San Antonio Spurs. We have 100% of respondents saying butter. Golly, welcome to the league, Victor Wembanyama. The confusion for me though is, and this is where I lost some of my wins, is I'm taking the over. I think Wembanyama is transformational. And to beat 29.5 wins, yeah, sure. I believe in, like, he'll just do it. Maybe not. Maybe they'll focus on losing, but
I really wanted to, but I couldn't.
I got him at 33 wins. Yeah.
I think that's fine. I like your pick better than mine. I'm under with 26 wins.
Okay. Our listeners wanted to say that they would win 55% are taking the under. So I'm the only over.
I think I've been caught in a mob mentality thing here.
Yeah.
Because I hear everyone say under, but then I watch and I'm like, holy God, they're so awesome.
one of the big mysteries is just like, what is Wembanyama, like the stuff he's done in preseason? It's not right.
He's nutmegging people. He's
the nutmegging of Reggie Bullock. It's unreal. And it seems like he just has to add. I think he can add 10 wins. And if he adds 10 wins to last year, they're over.
I think I hate myself for this pick. I wish I could change it really fast, but I can't. So.
You're allowed, but okay, fine. You can't. Our final team is the Utah Jazz. Did they get butter by trading for John Collins? I don't think so. Yeah. Who cares?
Although I do think Danny Ainge is pretty intelligent.
Sure.
So I think maybe he knows something we don't. Maybe he's a good fit here.
I think
I could buy this. Could he be horribly disgruntled playing next to Trae Young? Sure.
Yeah. Will he love playing small forward alongside Lowry Markkanen and Kessler? Although maybe Lowry's the 3 in that situation. John, I planted my flag. I think there are 12 teams way better than the Jazz. I think they're going to go way under this number. This number is based on last year's win total. 35.5 wins. I say honestly, no chance.
Okay.
My first pass, of course, I was closer to the line, but then I had to start
truly tanked.
I have no idea.
Do they need to tank? Don't they have all the picks already?
I'm going to say this team only because I had to subtract 4 to make my numbers equal. I'm going to say 29 wins now. 29 wins. 29 wins for the Jazz. I'm planting my flag. I took their over last year and I was right in the face of mockery and criticism. This team stinks. This team is going to be a lottery bound big time.
I don't think they stink. I think the roster is pretty good. I think they have a good coach. I'll take the over. The over.
I mean, I am depending on Chris Dunn in fantasy. I am buying the Chris Dunn blossoming.
Dip. You buying the dip?
But I think Chris Dunn's their best guard, guys, or their best point guard. And I don't think that's a good team compared to everybody else. So wait, did you go over or under?
Over.
How many wins do you have them?
37.
Wow. So you have 12 teams 37 and up. Is that right?
Let's see. I'm mostly under in the West. So
yeah, well, you're under the bigger totals, but yeah,
I do think it's a log jam, but
it's going to be a log. We're going to be log jamming. No question about it. All right. I have under, you have over
13 teams. That's not going to happen.
That is more wild than me thinking the worst team in the NBA will have 26 wins.
Yeah, I think so.
Our listeners, 57% say under. So to wrap up, we were 2/3 under on the Mavericks. We were 2/3 under on the Nuggets. We were unanimous under on the Warriors. We were 2/3 over on the Rockets. Amazing. We were unanimous under on the Clippers. We were 2/3 under on the Lakers, unanimous over on the Grizzlies, 2/3 over on the Timberwolves, 2/3 under on the Pelicans, 2/3 under on the Thunder. Well, that's fun to say. And then 2/3 under on the Suns, unanimous over on the Kings, 2/3 under on the Spurs, 2/3 under on the Jazz. And there you have it. If you are wagering real money, please do so responsibly. Par fadeaway, John. What thing are you looking forward to in the coming week?
I'm looking forward to the likes of Keontae George, Colin Sexton, and Jordan Clarkson proving you wrong almost immediately. But
they could be fun to watch.
I have a reverse par fadeaway because I'm not looking forward to, for the first time in my ever fandom, opening night has got me down.
You scared?
I turned down tickets. I turned down tickets to a Grizzlies Nuggets game. I'm gonna have to ease into this whole rooting for Marcus Smart thing. It's gonna be weird for me.
That's hilarious. By the way,
I might just don this cap. Maybe.
Maybe
we'll just keep chopping wood.
If you're in the Nashville area, I'll be having a Grizzlies watch party over at Noble's Beer Hall for the Grizzlies Nuggets game on Friday, October 27th. That is a week from when we're recording this, not a week from when we are releasing it. My par fadeaway, of course. I mean, it's here. We did it. We're gonna see all of the new rosters, the new players. We're gonna see next week. We're gonna have the International Stackhouse of Pancakes Award. We're gonna have somebody put up a terrible box score. We of course will be monitoring the Jacques Watch to see if any player can challenge Jacques Vaughn's record of starting the NBA season
on Sunday
with
that cat on your head.
22 straight missed field goals. So we're very excited for season 10, very excited for the NBA season. If you want to help us out though, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel, subscribe to the Grits and Grinds YouTube channel. Go over to patreon.com/Fastbreak Breakfast. Pitch in over there. Get access to exclusive bonus content. Join the Slack channel. Buy some of our shirts. I don't know. Go to Underdog Fantasy. Use that promo code FBBF. Anyways, you guys are the best. Thanks for listening. And remember, breakfast is the most important thing.
Oh,